Hello students, biomolecules. This is the second chapter of cell biology unit. Introduction. All the living organisms are made up of same chemicals, that is same type of elements and compounds. All the elements present in a sample of Earth's crust are also present in a sample of living tissues. Means the things, the matters, the chemicals which are present in us, the same chemicals are present in the earth crust. However, a closer examination reveals that the relative abundance of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen also with the respect to the other elements is higher in the living organism than in the earth crust. You can see in this table here the percentage of some elements are given in the earth crust as well as in the human body. So hydrogen, first is hydrogen. In earth crust it is 0.14% by weight, while in case of human beings it is 0.5. So hydrogen is percentage wise higher in case of human body as comparison to the earth. Carbon, again, you can see in the earth crust it is 0.03, while in the human body it is 18.5. So its level is higher in case of human body. Oxygen, it is 46.6% in the earth crust, while in the human body it is 65%. So you can see these things are higher in case of a living body, human body. Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen. Okay, if we look at the percent by weight of these elements. Okay, so you have to remember at least these three. Okay, nitrogen, sulfur, sodium, calcium, magnesium and silicon. You can see the percentage of other elements also. Okay, but these three at least you have to remember, including nitrogen because it is again important. So how to analyze chemical composition? These are the chemical composition. So how can we analyze these? Okay, so the first point, we can take any living tissue. Living tissue may be a plant, means a vegetable, or a animal, that is a piece of liver, etc., and grind it in trichloroacetic acid, CCl3COOH. This is a chemical. Okay, using a mortar and a pestle, then we obtain a thick slurry. Means the statement is we have to take a pestle and a mortar. Okay, this is pestle and mortar. In this we have to take a tissue, maybe a vegetable or maybe a liver, means it may be a plant or an animal tissue. Just suppose this one is the tissue, and we add this into this pestle and mortar. With the help of this we grind it. Along with that we have to add this chemical also. A small amount of CCl3COH is also added from outside. Okay, then what will happen after crushing, after grinding, we will obtain a thick slurry. If we were to stain this through a cheese cloth or cotton, we would obtain two fractions. Now what we have to do, just suppose this is a test tube and we cover it with the help of a cheese cloth or a cotton cloth. Okay, this is a cotton cloth. Its mouth is covered with this cloth. Okay, then add this thick slurry into this test tube. Some portion will filter through this cheesecloth or the cotton, some part will be filtered, but some part will remain on the cloth. Okay, so the things which filtered is known as filtrate, and more technically it is known as acid soluble pool, because these things are soluble in this acid CCl3COH. Okay, so the things which soluble in the acid is known as filtrate, and it will present in the test tube. But the second fraction, which is known as retentate, means with the due to the presence of a cotton cloth or the cheese cloth, the things which are present on the cloth, not inside the test tube, these are known as retentate, or it is also known as acid insoluble fraction. Okay, because it is not going to soluble in the acid. So the scientists have found thousands of organic compounds in the acid soluble pool, means here all the carbon compounds that we get from the living tissues can be called biomolecules. However, living organisms have also got inorganic elements and compounds in them, means in the fractions we obtain organic as well as inorganic both type of compound. Okay, so this is with the only the living tissues. Same thing can be happened with the help of earth crust. Okay, so analysis of inorganic elements from a living tissue. First point, a slightly different but destructive experiment has to be done for obtaining the inorganic elements. Especially this was for organic components, and now we are going to discuss how to extract the inorganic elements from the living tissue. So what we have to do, first weight a small amount of living tissue. This living tissue may be leaf or liver. So when we weight directly a living tissue, this is known as wet weight because it contains moisture. So we have to dry it. After drying, all the water will evaporates, and the remaining material gives us the dry weight. Okay, dry weight is the actual weight because waters are evaporate, water molecular evaporates. So and then the remaining material is contain only the dry weight. Now if the tissue is fully burnt, all the carbon compounds are oxidized to the gaseous form. Okay, means the tissue which are now dried completely, you have to burn it. When you will burn it, all the carbon compound will get oxidized, converted into carbon dioxide and water vapors, and it will removed. So what will be the remaining? If the carbon is not present, the remaining material is only the inorganic, and it is known as ash. After burning, the remaining is ash. So this is also known as ash analysis. This ash contains the inorganic elements like the calcium, magnesium, etc. These are the elements. Inorganic compounds may be present there. Compounds means sulfate, phosphates are also seen in the acid soluble fraction. Okay, therefore elemental analysis give elemental composition of the living tissues in the form of hydrogen, oxygen, chlorine, carbon, etc. While the analysis for the compounds, like these compounds, they gives us idea of the kind of organic and inorganic constituents present in the living tissues. Okay, from a chemistry point of view, because this biomolecule chapter is in your chemistry as well as in the biology. So there you will, what will you study there? At the chemistry point of view, you can identify the functional group like that, what is aldehyde, ketone, aromatic compounds. But in your biology subject, you will study about the amino acids, nucleotide bases, fatty acids, etc. Okay, so in both the subject you have to um, take full interest, because they, with respect to the chemistry you will found the different view of this chapter, and with respect to the biology you will found different aspects. Now the biomolecules, you know, all biomolecules are present in the tissues. Okay, it is out of two type, biomicromolecule and biomacromolecule. Okay, so what is biomicromolecule, or you can say it is just a micromolecule. These compounds are found in the acid soluble pool, means the things which are present in the test tube. And biomacromolecule, these are the compounds which are found in acid insoluble pool, means retentate, as a retentate in the cloth. The weight, the molecular weight of the biomicromolecule is ranging from 18 to 800 daltons approximately, or very simple you can say that less than 1000 dalton. Okay, but the biomacromolecule, the molecular weight is more than 1000 dalton. Okay, um, okay, less than 1000 you can say for the micromolecules, and more than 1000 you can say for macromolecules. Third, examples of the micromolecule are amino acids, nucleotides, monosaccharide, disaccharides, fatty acids, glycerol, and its complex form are comes under macromolecule. It includes proteins, nucleic acids, polysaccharides, lipids. We will discuss all the micromolecule as well as macromolecule in detail. Here one exception with respect to the lipid. What it is? Um, the, the molecules in the insoluble fraction, with the exception of lipids, are polymeric substances. Its molecular weight is not exceeds than 800 dalton, means its molecular weight is less than 800 dalton, but it comes under acid insoluble fraction, that is, it comes along with the macromolecules. Usually the lipids, so what is the reason behind this? Its molecular weight is less, but it always found with the acid insoluble fraction. So usually lipids are arranged into the structures like the cell membrane and other membranes. You know, we have discussed about the cell membrane. Cell membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer, you know, we have just studied that. So phospholipid, these are the lipids. So all the membranes, all the true membranes are made up of lipid plus protein. So lipid usually associated with the cell membrane and other membranes. When we grind a tissue, we are disrupting the cell structure. Cell membrane and the other membranes are broken down into pieces and forms the vesicles, which are not soluble in water. Therefore, these membrane fragments in the form of vesicles get separated along with the acid insoluble pool. Hence, in the macromolecular fraction, okay, so because it is not soluble in water as well as in the acid, and because it forms the vesicle, when membrane disrupt, it converted into small vesicles. These vesicles get stuck in the cloth. Therefore it do not come along with the micromolecule, but its molecular weight is less. So lipids are not strictly macromolecule. It comes under macromolecule, but it is not strictly macromolecules. So this is the exception. Okay. Now the first micromolecule is amino acid. What is amino acids? The amino acids are organic compound containing an amino group and an acidic group as substituents on the same carbon, that is called alpha carbon. Hence they are called alpha amino acids. They are substituted methanes. What does this mean? You can see any amino acids. There are various types of amino acids, but in case of proteins, our body is made up of different things. Protein is the major constituents. So protein chain is made up of amino acids, and all amino acids has the basic structure is like this. In the center you can see a carbon, and you know carbon has 4 valencies. Okay, so two things are fixed here. Actually three things are fixed here. One is COH. You can see in all the amino acids which are given here, COOH means acidic group is fixed, and amino group NH2, this is also fixed. This is present in all the amino acids, and this hydrogen is also present in all. So these things are fixed, but the difference is with respect to this group, that is called alkyl group. R means alkyl group. In place of R, anything may be happened. It may be hydrogen, it may be methane, it may be hydroxyl methane, it may be any other type of compounds, even aromatic compounds also, sulfur compounds also maybe. Okay, so when there is a compound, when carbon is present in the center and its all valencies are occupied by different molecules, then such carbon is known as alpha carbon. Okay, because a different functional group are present from this carbon, therefore it is known as alpha carbon, and hence these amino acids are known as alpha amino acid, because all amino acids is uh, almost similar except this R group. So all the amino acids are alpha amino acids. There are 4 substituent group occupying the 4 valencies position. These are hydrogen, carboxylic group, amino group, and a variable group. Variable group is designated as R group. Based on the nature of R group, there are many type of amino acids. However, those which occur in the proteins are only of 20 type. Means there are various type of amino acids, more than 20 type. But if we talk about just proteins, then for the formation of proteins only 20 amino acids are involved, and we have to discuss about only those. In your 11th class, 12th class, we will discuss only about these 20 amino acids which are involved in the production of proteins. But in the amino acid form, means monomeric form, there are various type of amino acids are also present. Okay, so the R group of these proteinaceous amino acids could be a hydrogen. You can see in the first amino acid, in place of alkyl group there is hydrogen is present, so it is simplest amino acid. The name is glycine. You remember this structure. The simplest amino acid is glycine because it contains hydrogen group in place of alkyl group. Second one is alanine. Alanine contain methyl group, so it is also simple. And hydroxymethyl in case of serine. Okay, hydroxymethyl means CH2OH. So these are few simple amino acids. Okay, chemical and the physical properties of the amino acids are essentially of the amino, carboxyl and are functional group. Okay, means due to this amino group, carboxyl group, R group, R means alkyl group, various chemical and physical properties of amino acids are present. Based on the number of amino acids, based on the number of amino acid and carboxyl group, based on the number of amino group and carboxyl group, there are acidic amino acid, basic amino acids and neutral amino acids. Acidic amino acid means COOH group. The number of carboxyl group is more than the NH2 group. So it is seen in the glutamic acid, means the alkyl group contain COH group also, means it is long, it may be the long chain and in this chain COH will be present. That's why it contain more acidic group, because one COH is fixed, but if R group also contains COH, then this amino acid becomes acidic. So glutamic acid is one of them. Basic amino acid example is lysine, so it contain more NH2 group. Amino group is more, means one NH2 group is present always, but when alkyl group expand itself, then along with the carbon and hydrogen, NH2 group will also present there. Such amino acid becomes basic. The example is lysine. Okay, so you have to remember all the things. Neutral amino acid example is valine, so it contain equal amount of NH2 group and COH group. When it is equal in amount, then it is known as neutral amino acid, because acid and base is balanced here. Similarly, there are aromatic compounds. Aromatic means the amino acid which contain cyclic group, any cyclic group. If there is a cyclic compound in place of alkyl, okay, then it is known as aromatic compound. It contain any of the cyclic compound. Okay, so you have to remember the examples of aromatic amino acids. These are tyrosine, phenylalanine and tryptophan, because question is asking like that, find out from the given amino acids having the aromatic compound, or you have to write the names of aromatic amino acids. So tyrosine, phenylalanine and tryptophan are the examples. Okay, the particular property of the amino acids is the ionizable nature of NH2 and carboxyl group. Hence, in solution of different pH, structure of amino acid changes. In this part, what is in this point, what the things is they want to tell you, if the pH is neutral, in the neutral pH means 7, it is not acid, not a base, then the amino acid always in the tendency of ionizable. So if the pH is neutral, then hydroxyl group will remove its hydrogen, and this hydrogen will occupied by the NH2 group and becomes NH3. So when hydrogen is removed, the remaining the ion will become minus charge. This CO becomes minus charge. Okay, and when it occupy the extra hydrogen, then the charge will be plus here. So when any compound contain both plus charge and minus charge, this is known as Zwitter ion. This is known as Zwitter ion. So it is important point. What is Zwitter ion? It contains both the charge, and it happens when an amino acid is placed in the neutral pH. If we lowers the pH, means acidic condition. If we put this amino acid in an acid, so you know that in acid, for example in HCl contain hydrogen ion plus chloride ion, especially hydrogen ion. So in acidic condition there are more hydrogen ion. So you know an H2 group has a tendency to receive the hydrogen. It will receive the hydrogen from the solution, acidic solution, and becomes NH3. And when it extra hydrogen, then the charge will be positive. So in the lower pH or the acidic condition, the amino acid shows positive ion, means that is called cation. And it becomes an ion when condition reverse, means high pH. High pH means this is basic pH, basic solution. If we place the amino acid in basic solution, for example NaOH, then you know here OH, Na plus and OH minus will be there. So more OH minus ion is here. It has a tendency to receive the hydrogen and becomes H2O. H plus plus OH becomes water, H2O. So hydrogen ion will coming from COOH. It will lose the hydrogen, which will combine with the OH group which is present in the solution, forms the water, but this amino acid becomes anionic due to this minus charge. Okay, so in this point want to explain that the amino acid always want to keep in ionizable form. Either the pH is neutral, high or low. Okay, so you can see if it is neutral, it becomes zwitter, it forms the zwitter ion, means both the charge is there. If the pH lowers, it forms cation, and in higher pH it forms anion. Here I am talking about the neutral amino acids. Okay, so the condition something different, may be different in case of acidic or basic amino acid accordingly. Okay, now the second biomolecule is lipid, and you know it is the exception. It comes along with the acid insoluble fraction, but its molecular weight is less, so it can placed in either group. Lipids are generally water insoluble. They could be simple fatty acids or it may be glycerol. A fatty acid has carboxyl group attached to an R group. The R group means alkyl group could be a methyl, ethyl or higher number of carbons in the form of CH2. So here carbon may be from 1 to 19 in number. For example, palmitic acid and arachidonic acid. These are the important names. These fatty acid contain, palmitic acid contains 16 carbons including carboxylic carbon, means if you see the diagram of palmitic acid, the name is acid, fatty acid, so one COH is essential. It remains, but it is fatty acid as you have seen in case of plasma membrane, phospholipid bilayer. So actually this the tail part is fatty acid. Fatty acid is continuous chain of hydrocarbons, CH2 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 and so on. So how much CH2 is there? Total 14 CH2, and in the end one CH3 group, and another end COH group is present because it is fatty acid. So the in case of palmitic acid, how many carbons are present? Total 16 carbon are present, which include this carbon of the carboxyl group as well as methane. And if we talk about the arachidonic acid, it contains 20 carbon atom, okay, along with the carboxylic carbon, means in case of arachidonic acid total 20 carbon atoms are present. In case of palmitic acid total 16 carbons are present. Fatty acid could be saturated or unsaturated. Saturated means like this, no any double bond in between carbon, means carbon are continuously attached with the single bond. But in case of unsaturated fatty acid, one or more than one double bonds or triple bonds may be present, okay, like this in the chain of fatty acid. Another simple lipid is the glycerol. We have discussed about the fatty acids. Here we will discuss about the glycerol. Both are simple lipids. Okay, so the one more simple lipid is trihydroxypropane. Trihydroxypropane. You can see this glycerol, meth, eth, prop, propane, 3 hydroxyl group. Okay, so it is known as trihydroxypropane. Many lipids have both glycerol and fatty acids. Hence, here are the fatty acids are found esterified with the glycerol. Then they can be monoglycerides, diglycerides, or the triglyceride. Okay, this is one glycerol. Okay, and if we remove this hydrogen and fatty acid, you know the fatty acid is continuous hydrocarbon chain. So in place of this hydrogen, we can add one fatty acid chain. If only one fatty acid chain is added with one glycerol, then it is known as monoglyceride, because one fatty acid chain is present. If two fatty acid chains are present with the glycerol, means in place of another hydrogen, if you add one fatty acid chain, then this glycerol will contain two fatty acid chains, then it will known as diglyceride. And if all the three, means this last hydrogen, if we remove and in place of this one more hydrocarbon is added, then it is known as triglyceride. Okay, so the glycerol with respect to the number of chains of fatty acid, it may be monoglyceride, diglyceride, and triglyceride. In this diagram, this is triglyceride. So you can see this CH2, CH2, CH2. This CH2 is this CH2, CH, and CH2, CH2, CH, and CH2. From its in place of this hydroxyl group, this is one fatty acid. Fatty acid contains COH group and long hydrocarbon chain. In place of hydrocarbon, it placed R1. And in the second chain, you can see this diagram, this structure. Again, it removed the OH group, and in place of this, fatty acid is added. And same thing with the third, CH2 is added with the fatty acid chain with R3, means third alkyl group. So these three different fatty acid chains with one glycerol, so it is a triglyceride. Okay, so this is the method of understanding the things. Okay, now these are called fat or oil, which is based on melting point. Oil have lower melting point, like gingerly oil. If the melting point is lower, hence remain oil as remain as oil in case in the winters, because its melting point is lower. Okay, and fat at the room temperature, it is solid. Okay, so melting point is higher. Some lipids have phosphorus and phosphorylated organic compound in them. For example, these are known as phospholipids. They are found in the cell membrane. Lecithin is the example. Okay, you know the cell membrane. This is the phospholipid. These are two fatty acid chains, and this is phosphate group. So if a fatty acid chain get phosphate group or phosphorylated, then it is known as phospholipid, and it is present in the cell membrane. And one of the example is lecithin. Name is lecithin. Okay, some tissue, especially the neural tissue, have lipids with more complex structure. Okay, so neural tissue is also contain this lipid. Okay, this is cholesterol. Okay, lipid, cholesterol, another category. Here you can see 1, 2, 3 and 4 cyclic compound. This is the identification sign of the cholesterol. It contains 4 cyclic group. So you just keep in your mind this structure. If it is asking somewhere, then you have to take if a structure is like this for the cholesterol. Okay, so in the next lecture we will discuss about the nitrogen bases. Okay, thank you class.